How many of you, I know the answer, have felt chaotic, right? Just absolute chaos. And we stepped into this crazy time back in March of last year, which is, for you don't know, it's 16 months that we've been going through this. It's a lot. And in those last 16 months, we have been in complete chaos because of COVID. And it has affected everyone on this planet. And I want you to think about something. Everyone on this planet have been affected by COVID. That's a huge thought. And I wonder sometimes if COVID had a purpose. Are there blessings in COVID? And I've actually did a whole blog on this, or I'm sorry, a vlog, or it's a podcast about the blessings of COVID. And I remember when I first started thinking about this, I thought to myself, would this be annoying for me to talk about? Is there a blessing in COVID? And I think there has been on some level. And within that, that's kind of its own talk and own conversation. So one thing I know for sure is we've all gone through a massive global reset. And in some sort of strange way, we've all been dropped to our knees and forced to reevaluate our lives and come back to center, come back to basics. And many of us have been feeling things like fear and uncertainty, unbalance and wonder, confusion and even chaos. It's like we've all been walking in some sort of mysterious fog right out of a sci-fi movie. As this pandemic begins to slow down, I invite all of us to step from our fears and into our faith. The faith is learning to walk in the fog, and we're all been fog walkers. Pandemic or not, we've all been walking through a fog in our life from the minute we were born. So I ask you to now let's talk about a few skills and tools today that will help you walk through the fog of your life in a more graceful and ultimately reduce the chaos and help you find peace and balance and joy and harmony. So shall we begin? So one of the things that I absolutely know, and that's been part of my journey in my life, has been that when you realize that the world of effects are spinning around you all the time, it just is. You can't change it. You cannot stop it from happening. The world is always spinning around every single one of us. But when you begin to learn how to stay in your center, nothing can knock you off balance. So it's our work in this time, in our life every single day. And a lot of us just need to learn how to stay in our center. And there's lots of opportunities to do so. So think about how is it that you stay in your center. I did a talk here a while back about the 9 pathways to your higher self. And we all have our own pathway to get to our higher self, our higher power. And I know that we all, for me, it's going into contemplation and then taking breaths and then going into nature and spending time in that space. And we need to learn how to do this. So it's very important. We'll talk about that more. So I want you to look at this slide. It's very powerful. It's react versus respond. And what I know is that when you are reacting to the world, you are co-creating with negativity. And when you're responding to your life, you're co-creating with what's positive and possible in your life. So the obvious question is, which one do you want to co-create with? And I think the answer would be respond. And there's a difference. So how do you do this? How do we do this react versus, how do we respond to our life, not react to our life? And we need to learn how to stop and pause and reflect and breathe before you speak. Does anyone have that little, I know I do. It's part of my work I say to myself, just shut up until I'm in a center, right? And I had a really good friend of mine years ago. We had a little argument, and she came back and knocked on my door after we had a little tiff. And she said, I have one thing to say to you. Don't go in when you're emotionally charged. I never forgot that. And so when somebody is throwing you this reaction, your job is, if you react with them, you are then basically meeting their energy. And fire and gas, right, are not a good combination because it just feeds each other. And so when someone throws you metaphorically a rope, if you pull on that rope or pick it up, you are now in a game of tug of war. So when someone throws you that rope, the best thing you do is just respond by putting your hands up and just saying, I'm not grabbing that rope until I'm in a response mode. It's very important. So another way we do this is we take time to tune in to Gus's, and Gus for me stands for God, Universe, and Spirit. And we channel this energy from our higher power, and before we proceed into conversations, before we proceed into that moment where we're heated or bothered, and we move into the universal mind and take time to co-create with that one mind. When I say one mind, I mean that we are all the same, and we're all connected to that same one mind, that higher power. And our work in this is to ask your higher power, what would you have me say? What would you have me do? To whom and where should I go? And so when this happens, when you respond to your life, you're moving into what's possible in your life. And I want you to think about this. I'll talk about this in a moment. You're standing below, just see this, an umbrella of protection. You're standing in the 9 fruits, metaphorically, which I'm going to talk about today. And I want you to see this work I'm about to do with you as a cover and a shield of protection for you to walk into the world. So what's important, I know for myself, and especially during this time, is we need spiritual protection. We need to learn how to have a connection with our higher power. And what this looks like is I want you to know that when you are in the world and you don't co-create with something greater than yourself, then you're all alone in your life, and you think you can do it all alone. And when you think you can do it all alone, you're wandering aimlessly through your life, believing you can do it all alone. Think about that. All by yourself. And it's a harder life, because when you decide to co-create with something greater and you ask for help and you start hearing that download, you start hearing the guidance from something greater than yourself, life gets a lot easier. That's the spiritual protection I'm talking about. In the Bible, it says that God cannot take away your free will. Therefore, you get to choose the way you want to operate in your life. Inviting in, and I would say to you that our moment is that you invite in your own God of understanding into any fear you have, obstacle that you have, a conflict that you have, any confusions that you have, and any dilemmas that you may be having in your life. So you just give it up. You give it to your higher power. And you just say to your higher power, this is not mine. I hand it to you, and please give me the guidance to move through this. So what I mean by co-creation is I call it in, you invoke it into your life, because it's about, in order for you to have free will, God, Universe, Spirit doesn't come unless you invite it in. That's a huge piece to this puzzle. You need to invite it in, because it can't come unless you invite it. So for me, spiritual protection is, I believe there are higher elements, but I would say angels are mediaries between you and your higher power. So you ask the angels, which are hovering right above your head, waiting for you to give them the command to come. And then they literally hear your order, your prayer, your ask, and they take it to your higher power, they get the information, and they bring it down back to you, and they offer it back to you. So that's that moment of inviting it in. So it's about tapping in and having that spiritual protection, and it's going to minimize your suffering and reduce the chaos in your life. Just think about this. It's really easy. I know it sounds, but I know that when my life is chaotic, I forgot to ask. Isn't that amazing? Like, it's so easy. It's just like, call it up. Put it on speed dial, whatever you got to do. So today, I'm going to be talking to you and teaching you about the 9 fruits of the Spirit, which I'm going to talk more about where it comes from. And in my experience, if you utilize this powerful spiritual practice, it's going to take you from surviving to thriving. Who wants that? Yes. You want that? Yeah, want to thrive and get out of this darn chaos that we've been in. So right now, I had asked, and Amber mentioned it, I want you to just take out a piece of paper, if you have it, or with a pen, or even pull out your phone, maybe email yourself this information, or even text yourself so you have a place to put this information. I'm going to have an interactive process with you today. All right? If you don't, that's all right. Just let yourself be guided in this message. So we're going to talk today about the 9 fruits of the Spirit. And I'll talk about where this comes from in a little bit. I'm just being told not to tell you yet. Okay? So these are things that we all can be a part of if we choose to respond to our life and if we stay awake and aware and make the choice, what I call do the right thing. And the word righteousness is actually a word that triggers people a lot. But when I was doing research on the word righteousness, it means right use. And that really changed that word for me tremendously because I was always triggered by that word, right use of your life. And this is what we're going to be learning about, is how do we use our life in the right ways. So write this down, and then I'm going to have you rate it from 1 to 10. Obviously, 1 is not so good. And a 10 is that you're achieving at the highest level, okay? And obviously anywhere in between. So the first fruit or quality that you can live in is the fruit and the quality of love. And what this is, and just check yourself, is something that elicits deep interest and enthusiasm in somebody, used as an affectionate word to someone that you love, the mercy, grace, and charity known by God to humanity, the worship and adoration of God or higher power, and to come from your heart with compassion and empathy. So how well are you doing with the attribute, the quality of love? And just rate yourself right now. On just right now in your life, just rate yourself on a 1 to 10.
Could you read number the top one again?
Yeah, something that elicits deep interest and enthusiasm in somebody. It's you being those quality, that quality. All right, the second one today, quality or fruit, is peace. So this is you being these things. So a state of mind that's calm and serenity with no anxiety. The absence of violence or other disturbances within your state of mind. Freedom from conflict or disagreement among people or groups of people. And a word to tell someone to be calm or silent, or a greeting of farewell and to go in peace. So be in that within yourself, your own mind, and your life today. How are you doing with the quality of peace? 1 to 10. The next one is joy. So what joy is feeling of great happiness or pleasure, especially of an elevated spiritual kind, a pleasurable aspect of something, or something that is seen as a source of happiness. Derive from joy from something, or to give it someone joy, give someone else joy. To delight in or enjoy something, or to be bubbling over in joy. Now, I know these are extremes, right? The highest version of yourself. Rate yourself in the key, the fruit, the quality of joy. The next quality is going to be the quality of patience. Now, this is my thing. Anyone else relate to that? This is my thing right here. I'm a doer. I want it now. And that doesn't really work for me very well. There's divine timing, and then there's your higher power's timing, and then your timing. So choose. It never works when it's your timing. Patience, the ability to endure waiting or delay without becoming annoyed or upset, to persevere calmly when faced with difficulties. The ability to tolerate being hurt, provoked, or annoyed without complaint or loss of temper. and to know when it's time to walk away and take a deep breath. So rate yourself in the quality of patience. That darn word, patience. The next quality or fruit is the quality of kindness. The practice of being, or the capability to be sympathetic and compassionate. The act that shows consideration and caring, and a selfless act of kindness. A humanitarian, someone that's committed to improving the lives of other people. So how are you doing with your kindness in your life today? And if these don't resonate with you, then just think of the word kindness in just your own way. You know what it means. The next fruit is the fruit of goodness. Goodness is the quality of being good, a personal virtue of kindness, the nutrition or other benefits to derive from something. So when I say nutrition, like what are you putting in your body, right? It changes your vibration, your state of mind. And having or showing an upright or virtuous character, a high character, a positive character, and having or showing a kind and generous disposition. So disposition is that the way you just show up, your energy, right? Jill Taylor from the book, she wrote the book of Stroke of Insight, her greatest quote is, "Please be responsible for the energy you bring into a space." And that's been so profound for me. Like if we could all just really get that, how you show up, be aware of that. It changes you, it changes everyone around you, it changes the space. So the next fruit or quality is the quality of faithfulness, which means someone who, or something that can be trusted and depended on, not having sexual relationships with somebody other than your spouse or partner, which is agreed upon or not, whatever that may be for you. Consistently trustworthy and loyal, especially to a person or a promise or a duty. And believing firmly in something or somebody, especially in a religion or your spiritual practice. So your faithfulness in your life today, in those qualities, or however you may define faithfulness for yourself. It's just a thought. The next quality is the quality of gentleness. So this means that you're having a mild and kind nature and manner, being moderate in force and degree so that the effects are not severe, using little force or violence, having a gracious and honorable manner to cause someone to become less agitated by your means, words, and actions, and to use an easy grip and not be strong-handed. How many of you have kids? Shall I say any more? This one puts you to test, right? I don't have kids, and I know why. The next fruit is self-control. The ability to control your own behavior, especially in terms of reactions and impulses. The ability to manage or direct your thoughts and actions through self-awareness. The limiting or restricting on something or the methods used. And a place within yourself where something is checked or inspected and then directed with self-control. Self-control is the fruit, the quality. Your definition is just fine. So those are the 9 fruits, the 9 qualities. Now, can you see how that would change everything for you if you were at the highest level possible in those 9 qualities, those 9 ways to balance your chaos in your life? And what I know is that we're in charge of this. We need to be okay with being in charge of this. We can actually do it. So I want you to look at this. This is what I'm talking about, the umbrella. And this is the umbrella. And I created this many years ago with my classes at Seattle Life Coach Training. And it's about, imagine that you're standing underneath an umbrella, and on top of this umbrella are these 9 qualities, and that there are going to possibly be holes in this umbrella where the elements can come in, and it's like the weather metaphor, right? Where you're being rained on. The elements are coming in. You're not fully protected. And when you have a hole in that umbrella, your umbrella is not going to support you at the highest level. So what this says, and this is where it comes from, is against these things there is no law. Now that was confusing for me. I sat in this for quite a while. I'm like, what does that mean? And it comes from Galatians 5:22 from 5:24. So look it up. And a lot of this can be triggered by the word Bible. And so as we're unity, we're more encompassing. We believe in something that we're all connected to a higher power. We call it whatever we want to call it. And what I know is that your work in this is to get that there are many, many wisdom books out there. There are things out there that are coming from so many places. And to me, the Bible is one of those great wisdom books. So as mentioned before, think of these 9 fruits metaphorically as you are holding that umbrella, the umbrella of protection. And when you stand under, you're fully protected from the worldly elements, positive or negative, light versus dark, high vibration versus low vibration. And I'm being very careful in how I say this because there's so many ways in which we can call it out like that. So call it what you want. But nothing can go against these fruits. And only, get this, only from these fruits, these qualities, will you bear fruit. Sit in that. Those who live by these qualities produce fruit, the character, reflecting the character of your God of understanding and other high vibrational beings, things like archetypes like Jesus, even Buddha, and the like. There's so many higher vibrational beings in the world, and you can probably, from modern ones currently in the world to even those that have transcended, where there have been great teachers for us. So it says there is no law against these 9 fruits because these are the very virtues, get this, that God, universe, spirit, desires us to manifest our walk in the world. That's the key in this, is that our walk in the world is so important that we stand in these. And the thing about this is that from these fruits, nothing can be condemned. You cannot be condemned for these fruits. You cannot be judged for these fruits because it's such a high vibrational quality. So people who demonstrate these qualities cannot be condemned, as I just said, and their conduct or spoken against when they be and do these things. Now let's talk about the difference between doing and being. So to be is to do nothing. Now think about this. It's not what you do, it's who you be when you're doing it. So it's how you show up with your energy. Are you showing up in these qualities, these 9 qualities, these 9 fruits? So it's not what you do, it's who you be. And to be is a state of mind. It's a choice. It's a stop, reflect, pause, breathe. That moment where you choose to be. And I ask my clients and my students, who do you be today? And they give me that sort of cocker head span, like look, that tilt. And it's a very, very important question. Who do you be today? And it's a different question. And the doing is an action. It's your demonstration in the world. So what I'm going to ask you in this moment is look at your list. Look at those 9 qualities. And I want you to sit in which one of these are you doing well, or which one of them, multiple ones, are you doing well. And I want you just to circle those or just make a mental note. I'm doing really well in these qualities. And the next one is which one you need to work on. Which one do you want to choose to do differently? Which one's going to make the biggest difference in your life, and more importantly, the lives around you? So I invite you in this moment to just really spend some time and contemplate on this message today, and knowing that when you are standing under the umbrella of protection, that you're changing your life and the lives around you, and your vibration's going to change. And if everyone was doing this, if everyone was giving birth to their greatest and highest self, the whole world would rise. And that's what this is about rising up and being your highest self.